And Sandy, take it
Folks,
away.
I think my picture means that might be my cue. Good afternoon. I'm Sandy McDonald, Director of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and I want to thank you for joining us for our OESBD, Office of Economic and Small Business Development, Technical Assistance Training that we'll be hosting today. Next slide. So you'll hear me say that from time to time, and staff will know they're going to move to the next slide. But before we get started with the actual training, I ran across this person a while ago. I ran across her and her colleagues a while ago. And at the end of the day, what Sharon is going to share with you, and we're setting this up for a larger presentation later this year, but I felt it was important to make sure as soon as possible, as often as possible, some of you from the floods we had back in May and the rain we're still having from time to time, understand more about the opportunities to resolve and address some of those concerns using the SBA. So Sharon's going to come today and she's going to share with you briefly some of the things that's available now. She's going to let you know where her and her team is so that you can see them immediately. And yes, guys, we're going to set up a date to bring her back where the majority of the information will be about her and the SBA and about how you can resolve some of your troubling issues relevant to the flood and more based on what the SBA has to offer. So Sharon, again, thank you for introducing the opportunity. Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sandy, for your nice, warm introduction and introducing me to your fine folks here, businesses in Broward County. So enough, there you go. Thank you so much for doing that. And so I'm just going to jump right into it because I understand that Sandy has a lot to tell you. And I want to make sure that you can get all of his nuggets. Okay, so the Broward Flood Declaration actually happened, the Broward floods happened April 12th through 14th. And so if you had a business prior to the flooding dates of April 12th through 14th, then you are eligible to apply for SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Now, what that means is I'm going to give you a small example to kind of relate. Okay, so if you had, let's say, a business prior to the April 12 flooding for Broward County and mostly in the Fort Lauderdale area, then let's say your business, for example, was a cleaning business and you had 5 homes in Edgewood. Edgewood, Florida is just south of 84th Highway there, the Interstate 84, where Lester's Diner is in Fort Lauderdale, if that makes any sense. So Edgewood, that whole neighborhood was flooded. All of the homes were damaged. But let's say you had 5 homes there that you cleaned every week. And let's say you cleaned each home twice a week. And so it's $250 per clean. So let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday you made $250 times 5, right? Per week is $2,500 per week. But you did this every month, of course, 2 times a week for each home. It's $10,000 a month that you're making on 5 homes. Not too bad, right? And then 10,000 times 12 is about 120,000 a year. Not a bad salary for 5 homes. Okay, so now if you these homes were damaged from the Broward floods, you go through that neighborhood and you can still see the remnants of people cleaning up their debris from their damage from the Broward floods. Okay, it was really catastrophic in that neighborhood. And so the 5 homes that you would clean, let's say, are no longer able to hire you because they're crazy. You know, after you have your home is damaged or any kind of building is damaged that you own, you know, people don't really think straight. They go into a different kind of state of mind. And so it's a little bit, you know, you're like, okay, well, I can get in there and help you. But that person is not thinking about you coming into their home at their time because maybe it's, you know, in disarray, and not just a regular disarray, but like even more than normal. Okay. And so So now all of your income has stopped, completely stopped. There's no revenue coming in. Okay, so we refer that to as, maybe some businesses may refer that to as a pension revenue or an economic downturn. You may refer that to as an economic impact. We refer that to as an economic injury. And so now you're eligible for the economic injury disaster loan. Okay, so one of the next things regarding economic injury disaster loan, to apply for funding, there's several documents, of course, you would need to apply for this particular program. Now, if you go to the next slide, I believe. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so no, go back to the other one, please. Thank you. Okay, so if you actually go to sba.gov/disaster, the middle bullet point, second one down, you'll actually get a lot of information on disasters and where you can apply online. Okay, so that's like the cheat sheet. It's the short version of the link rather than giving the whole long link of the application. Just go to sba.gov/disaster. That will take you right there. As you scroll through the information, you'll find a way to apply online. Now, if, again, your business was established prior to the April 12th through 14 floods, then you are eligible to apply. Okay, of course, you'll need like your last year's tax returns. You will need to fill out some an application, a business application. You'll need to fill out the 4506C. You'll need to fill out the schedule of liabilities, probably have some kind of profit and loss information. And I think there's one other document that I don't know off the top of my head, but it's all in there. So, but one of the documents I want to go over today is called the 4506C, that's C like Charlie. It's really important document. So back in the day when we were kids, okay, some people like to cheat off of your sheet in school, right? Because they didn't study for the test. Well, when you fill out the business application or the 4506C, it's like an open book test. You can pull your cheat sheet information from your federal tax return, your previous year's federal tax return. And what I mean by previous year, so the storm happened in 23, so you would need to use your 2022 federal tax return for the business. Okay, so if you're a DBA or if you're a sole proprietor, more than likely you file a 1040 and for your personal income, and then you also do a Schedule C to attach business income. If you snazzed up your DBA and you did an LLC and also decided to get an EIN, okay, maybe you file an 1120S. It's possible, okay? Maybe you did a partnership with somebody and maybe you're a 1065. So going to the 4506C, I believe there's a copy of it in one of the slide decks. Can you go to that, please? It may not be the next slide. I think it's the second slide, the next one after that. Yes. So the 4506C, you'll see yellow highlights and the example. Okay, so everything where the yellow highlights are, now they can make this available to you. It's no worries. Okay, it's an example. So everything where the highlights are on this form is where people mess up often. Okay, this form will stop your application process and it will delay it as each of these times you fill it out, it's incorrect. Most people zip right through this and thinking, oh, they know the answers and they'll just take it right through. A lot of people guess at the answers. So this is a no-no, okay? You want to use your cheat sheet. Your cheat sheet is your last year's federal tax return. All the information that you need to fill out this form is on your previous year's tax returns. Do not zip through this process. Make sure you take your time and make sure that everything is correct. Now, this form is actually editable in PDF, so you can find it online, and you can put all the information, type it all into the boxes, and then print, sign, scan back in. Okay, so the first one says leave empty. They had an X, don't put anything there. Third box is Roman numeral 3, says business name. You put your business name in there, okay? On the other place where it says address on federal tax return, okay, that's really important. So let's say you snazzed up your, in 2021, sorry, my apologies, 2022, you had let's say a DBA, okay? And you use the address of your home as your address for the business. But in 23, you decided to snazz up your business and you went to an actual physical location where you had a physical address, you own a building to a business, and you incorporated your business. Now you have an EIN, right? Because you're doing really well. You've been in business a little while, okay? Well, you're going to use the address on your previous year's federal tax return, not the 2023 address, the 2022 when you were a DBA address, okay? Now, let's see. If we go down to line 6, it says, look on your FTR. FTR is federal tax return. Okay. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And to see what tax form you use, don't guess. Really important. Don't guess. Just use your federal tax return as your previous example. It's your cheat sheet. It's your open book test. Okay. You can't get this wrong if you use previous year. The reason why this is important is because once you complete this document, and we're going to go through the rest of it in just a second, is this is a request for transcript from the IRS. So all the information you submitted in your 2022 taxes to the IRS, this is a request for certain information from that year's tax returns to come back to us to let us know that the information that you put on your business application matches the information that you sent to the IRS. Okay, it's real easy. Okay, so now in box C, there's a big X. Can you point to that, please? Thank you so much. Now, this is really important also because this box right here, no one checks it. And so you have to check this as a record of account. This tells us, hey, we're pulling the records of your account from the IRS to verify that the information you're sending to us is complete and accurate. Otherwise, it sends us a red flag that maybe possibly it's fraud, right? And you don't want to lie about anything, especially any documents going to the government, okay? Don't even guess. Don't even chance it, okay? Now there's another X in the bottom. Yes, thank you so much. This says that you attest to show that all the information at the top of the document is true and accurate to the best of your ability. So after that, it says it needs, I think that's a signature. Okay, so signature in that next line just below it. Yes, thank you so much for pointing that out. Then you have to date it, whatever date it is that you're filling out the document. And then right next to it, it says taxpayer phone number. That's you, business owner, DBA, now an incorporated business. Your phone number, put it there. Not the one that you may answer sometimes. The cell phone that you answer all the time. Put that one there, okay? Also, it says print your name. Really important. You have to do that, okay? Don't leave any boxes blank. Now, there's another line, the third highlight, I believe. Yes, it says title. Okay, so on your federal tax return, if you put that you're a managing member of your business, MGMR, put that. If you're a consultant, put that. If you're a business guru like Sandy McDonald, put that. If you're a cleaning connoisseur, put that. Whatever your title is, and it will show if you're DBA filing 1040 Schedule C, it will be shown on your Schedule C somewhere at the top. Okay, if you have any questions, you ask your CPA or your tax advisor. Don't guess any questions. Also, you can refer back to the SBA resources on that previous screen. You can call our 800 number, 1-800-659, thank you, 2955. You can also email customer service, disaster customer service at sba.gov, and you can email in your questions and they will give you answers. Now that's a quick one too, but I just want to give you some information on the Broward floods. If you are intending on applying It's a low at, the interest rate for business owners is as low as 4%. Okay. However, the first year it's 0% and 12-month deferment program. Okay. Get that again. It's 0% and 12-month deferment program, which means that for the first year, let's say you're eligible to receive 10,000. I don't know. It's just a number I picked out for an example. Okay. Let's say you're eligible for 10,000. Okay. So the first year, instead of having to make a payment, if you use, let's say, a credit card or something like that to fund your supplies or to fund your, your differences, you would have up to 30 years to pay it off. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a long time, but the first year is 0% in 12 months. So you could get yourself together in that first year to make a full payment. You could make a sizable down payment on the first year your payment is due, or just start making payments. Okay, there's no prepayment penalties. There's no closing costs of any kind, and there's no cost to apply either. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else. I think that kind of covers it. Are there any
I think
questions,
that's
you
good covering.
Thank you.
So thank you, Sharon. And hey, guys, again, we said it. We know that was going kind of fast, but please recognize the SBA, these resources, they're here. Sharon's contact information will also be put in the chat box. You can reach out to them. And when we're preparing to do the workshop later, I think it might be September, if not October, the bottom line is we'll make sure you have this information in advance. But the reality is, just know there is assistance and support for you here if you're still dealing with the disaster that we just came out of. So Sharon, thank you again. Thank the SBA for being a partner in not only South Florida and the state, but specifically Broward County. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
So gang, here we are. Technical assistance training. Next slide, please. Today, the objective is for me to make sure that you understand, if you're here, get to our slides, gang. If you're here, what it is our office actually does. Now, the emphasis towards the end of today's workshop is going to be about small business. But I want to make sure I tell you the bigger picture so that if you're not certified, or in case you're not even a business yet, you understand, as the title of the workshop for today was, what the opportunities are to do business with Broward County through OESBD, or how we can grow or scale your business as an office, or all the things as an office we actually do. So understand, we are established by the Broward County Board of Commissioners. These are the goals that are set forth by the county. Next slide. You'll see that we also drive down those goals, and you'll have a better understanding of this office and exactly who we are and what we do. Next slide. So gang, this is our line of businesses: economic development, international trade, small business development, community relations and outreach, Film Lauderdale. That's right, the film office is now in our office. Next slide. So the economic development side and the international side, just understand, as an individual business, certified or not, or someone aspiring to become a business or be an entrepreneur, we work with everything from emergency disasters, similar to what you just heard from Sharon. We're going to carry you through this upcoming hurricane season that we're in. If, God forbid, and we were hit with a hurricane, our ESF 18, we're the organization that's responsible for coming out of the hurricane, making sure that our businesses can get restarted again. We are ESF 18 Business Resiliency. We're going to pull our business community out and make sure they all get started and going again. My ED office also dabbles in the entrepreneurship. We are part of Kaufman Fast Track Program. That's a 10-week series of how to start a business. That course is currently going. They might be on week 6 or 7 or 7 and 8 right now. We do 2 half-day workshops. If you're an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, or for my half-day workshops, if you want to know how to start a business, or if you got a business within 3 to 4 years old, we also go back and take a look. at what you did to get started, where you are now and where you need to go. So we do things relevant to entrepreneurship. We're a member of ARO, Alliance of Entrepreneurial Resource Organizations. It's about 16 different organizations right here in Broward County that provide support to entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and to startup businesses. We do have an ecosystem in Broward to support entrepreneurs. And the BMSD, you might know the BMSD as the unincorporated areas. Areas of Broward County that never chartered as a city, they were known as unincorporated Broward. We decided to change our unincorporated name to Broward Municipal Service District. So since they're not a city, they don't have a commission, they don't have a mayor, but the county is like their commission. The county is like their mayor. And as the Economic Development and Small Business Office, we work with the businesses in that community. Ralph Stone and different divisions of the county with the Housing Authority, they work with the community development side of that community. So that's just another one of the things that we do as ED. And international trade, that's FITSE, folks, Florida International Trade Cultural Expo. That's our 11 steps to exporting. That's our doing business with. And there's multiple different countries. We teach how small businesses can do businesses internationally. That's what we also do. And incentives. We try to retain as well as expand as many businesses in Broward. We never want to lose a business in Broward, and we certainly want to grow the number of businesses in Broward, but we also want to recruit businesses from across the country and internationally to move to Broward. So we have different incentive programs that afford us the opportunity to do that. And all of this is for naught if it's not about workforce development. We're trying to make sure that anyone in Broward who wants to work can work. We're trying to make sure that my hard to hire, GED, been extremely unemployed, recently released from prison, whatever the scenario, if someone wants a job, or more importantly, if someone wants a job that leads to a career, we want to be a part of that. So in workforce development, we work with folks like OIC, Broward College. Career Source Broward is our primary workforce development agency. So again, these are the depths of the economic development side of the office. Next slide. Kaufman Fast Track, I just described that. That's the devil in the details about how long we've been doing it, the different programs, how many entrepreneurs we've actually worked with since the inception back in 2013. So we want to make sure you recognize that. Next slide. That's some of the additional information on the Kaufman, including the current session that we're in right now. And get ready, we'll be doing this Kaufman Fast Track next year. And if our schedule goes right, we'll have 2 sessions next year during 2024. Next slide. Community relation outreach is one of the reasons that we're here today. Community relation outreach tries to make sure that we disseminate information to the residents, to the aspiring entrepreneurs, to the business community, to the small business community, to the 31 municipalities. We try to make sure everyone knows who we are as an office, our different projects, our different initiatives, and what we do. So community relation outreach, as you see, find creative ways of making sure we do what we do, making sure that businesses who want to get certified have a process by which they can do so, making sure that as projects hit the street or before projects hit the street, we do meet and greets where small businesses can meet prime contractors, meet county agencies. Community relations outreach is, as the name speaks, we want to be in the community, we want to develop the relationships, and we want to make sure we're doing outreach for everyone and anyone who's interested to have the information about this office. Next slide. Film Lauderdale. Again, Broward has been doing film forever. And it just went full circle that Broward has decided to put the film office back in the Office of Economic and Small Business Development. And in short, our job is to make sure that businesses is aware of this industry. Businesses are aware of the crossover. That's right. I got a carpenter who might be helping me right now at that convention center expansion with the new hotel. But I also want to make sure that the carpenter knows that his skills can be used to build the sets for another production. So we do a lot of crossover training, or we're preparing to do a lot of crossover training. And yes, Film Lauderdale by Broward County's Board of Commissioners also have an incentive. So we're trying to incentivize film to come to Broward. But if so, more small business opportunities. I want them to use my certified firms, but even if not certified, there's firms that production would use that I traditionally wouldn't certify, but it's a need. Barbers, beauticians, caterers. So Film Lauderdale is here to grow production in Broward, but to also assure that opportunities for businesses, specifically small businesses, can also participate. Next slide. Small business development, guys. Again, this entire workshop, this technical assistance training is going to begin to hone in that if you are a business, if you're not certified, and a little bit for my certified businesses, it's about really you considering, do you want to make the county one of your clients? Do you want to take advantage of the county opportunity? So of course, when I get to the end, I'll entertain Q&A, but a little bit more housekeeping. If you have questions, definitely put those in the Q&A. But that chat, and many of you had already started doing it, so that's great. That chat is for you to give a shout out. And even when we're virtual, as we are, as I do when I'm face to face, I always tell businesses, always, never miss the opportunity to let other businesses know you in the room. You never know which business needs your service, and you never know which business you need their service. So even though we're virtual today, and there's approximately 70 of us, make sure you give your name and your company shout out in that chat. So understand small business development. It's the whole premise that the county wants to commit some of what we do to support small businesses, because we also recognize small businesses, though the term is small, are major impact to the economic footprint of Broward County. Next slide. The Business Opportunity Act, guys, the BOA, that's what I need all of my small businesses certified, all small businesses who are just businesses, certified or not, or anyone who's thinking that maybe this office could advantage them in their company. Understand the county has a program that's an actual ordinance that's called the Business Opportunity Act that explains just how the county intends to use small business, leverage procurement by the use of small business, make it a part of the purchasing process and the procurement code, but it's not enough just to put it out front. That Business Opportunity Act also explains how we plan to monitor, administer the compliance, and to assure that small businesses, if they are used, that they get paid. Guys, it's for not if a small business isn't getting paid. And at the end of the day, as we're going through that process, we also want to make sure that the small businesses, as well as the prime contractors who might be using my small businesses, realize that this office is an advocacy office. So I need to be crystal clear. Sometimes I need to jump on the prime because they're being too slow at paying my small business. Sometimes I need to jump on my small business because they're not following the program guidelines and having the requirements in their agreement that's expected by this act, the Business Opportunity Act. Sometimes I have to scream at my own colleagues because they might be slow in paying a prime. And if you're slow in paying the prime, then you're slow in paying the small business. And I don't want a small business to be delinquent in receiving their payment. And sometimes folks just aren't doing what's required by that ordinance. Then the ordinance requires me to convene and jump in. I need small businesses to understand the Business Opportunity Act, and I need businesses who think they might want to be a certified small business to understand everything that we would do for you, everything that you can expect from the county would be written in the Business Opportunity Act. And just as we're having this conversation today, I'm telling businesses who are certified, who are not certified, who are not even businesses yet, if you're interested in knowing what we can do for you, if you're interested in this office offering you some opportunities, this is the process we go through, and trainings like this occur. But this is just the start. If you got certified and you're ready to rock and roll, there's another workshop I do called Certified Now What? That begins to prepare you to go after bids and hopefully successfully win bids in a competitive market. Folks, I have to say that out loud. It really is a competitive market. We certainly have opportunities for small business versus small business versus big business. It is a competitive market, but it's intentional that the county carves out pieces for our local small businesses. Next slide. So my certification program, SBE, CBE, go to the next slide. This is a race and gender neutral program. So my SBE is the smallest between my SBE and my CBE. So with that, there's an average gross revenue for the SBE, average gross revenue for the CBE, the personal net worth. The owner of a business has to be 1.32 million or less, not counting his or her primary residence. That's a factor to be one of our certified small businesses. If you fall within the gross revenues of the SBE, we certify you as SBE. If you fall within the gross revenues of the CBE, we certify you as a CBE. We tell you, don't worry about that. If interested, you complete my entire application. We come back and tell you if you're SBE, CBE, or both. But just want to make sure for the sake of this training, you understand there are levels and there are also opportunities. So for example, that SBE, that's special. Because at the end of the day, when the county agencies, any agency, buys something for $250,000 or less, we have a chance to take a peek. If I got at least two firms that can provide that good material or service, we can shelter it. And that's the first, second, and third opportunity for a little guy to bid against a little guy. There's a chance for a big boy to get in, but after we determine I don't have any little guys. So the whole idea is that we want to make sure that our small businesses recognize the smallest of the small SBEs. This is a chance to carve out opportunities for them to get in the game. I wanted to use that as an example because, again, when we start talking about techniques, tips, and ways of understanding that Business Opportunity Act and working with our office, you want to know what the SBE reserve is. You want to know what CBE goal is, CBE reserve is. But again, these are things that we would teach you and make sure you know. But guess what? They're also listed in that Business Opportunity Act, the ordinance. Next slide. And you can go to the next slide. CBE goals. Procurement $250,000 or more. I get to do the same thing similar to the SBE. We look at it first. If aviation was trying to do something for $3 million, we look first. We get to see based on what they want to do, if we got small businesses that can provide some of the good material and the services. If so, we get to set the goal. The goals these days are at least 25%. So that's how we establish goals. We also got reserves. I just used a number like 3 million. With 3 million is reasonable for my small businesses. If I got enough businesses that can provide the good material or service that aviation is looking for this estimated $3 million project, see, I can reserve it. So that the first, second, and third opportunity is for little guys to bid against little guys and for little guys to be a prime contractor and do the $3 million project themselves. Or if I can't do the whole 3 million, Mr. McDonald, I can do 80%, well then great. The other 20% got to go to other CBEs. The CBE reserve is our opportunity to say, we want to use CBEs as the prime. The only thing that must occur when we do a reserve is that the entire project must be completed by CBEs. So if the CBE who's the prime says, I can do it all, great, do the whole thing. But if the CBE who's the prime says, hey, I can do 70 or 80%, the remainder, he or she just needs to go pick other CBEs. So this is a chance for our CBEs to begin to grow and learn how to be prime contractors. Win a contract, do a little bit, and oversee other people doing the remainder. That's all a part of the program, as similar with that convention center, $1 billion project, 30% needed to be spent for the expansion of the convention center, 25% need to be spent on the creation of the 800 room, and I got to stop saying that, the 801 room for Diamond Omni Hotel. Our CVB, Convention and Visitors Bureau president, just corrected us all yesterday because we all keep saying 800 rooms. I know it said 801, but we just say 800 room for Diamond. She wanted us to know it is 801 room for Diamond Omni Hotel. So again, we established those goals where CBEs can participate. So on that remaining approximately 590, 610 million that they're doing for the rest of the build out in the convention center, 25% of that has to go to my small businesses. So that hotel will have a lot of work with our small businesses. Next slide. And you can pass that one and keep it moving. So guys, the way in which we make this accessible to you, available to you, is that we do have an online local certification application. That means, guys, you can go to our website and you can see the application. You can read the local certification application. You can even check out the YouTube video that explains how to fill out that application. My recommendation, always tell people to go to our website, sign up to be registered, go to the application, read it. After reading the application, go through the application and grab all the necessary documents based on what you read. If you're stuck, go watch the video that backs up what you just read. If you're still stuck, call us. But if not, there's enough information by you simply reading the application, then reading the application and making sure you got the necessary backup documentation. And again, if you got 1 or 2 questions, go check out the video because it will walk you through. And I do mean 6th grade. Your name, your last name, your address, your business name, your business address. We will walk you all the way through. And if you can do the application, upload it with the document, send it in. We're going to try to create that 45 days or less. And again, the process is at least online. And remember, there is a video for you to check out. Next slide. Federal. I might as well let you know, since this technical assistance is about what does this office do, the county touches money from DOT, Department of Transportation. And DOT has a program, DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, ACDBE, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Though my local program, CBE, SBE, that's race and gender neutral. That's simply about being here, being a business, and meeting those earlier criteria. This federal program is race and gender conscious. It is primarily for women and minority-owned businesses, 51% control or more. But since we touch money, aviation does, Broward County Transit does, our port is starting to. Whenever we touch DOT money, we then must assure that certified DBEs can participate in that ACDBE piece, so I won't confuse you. All of that management activity, anything inside the airport that advantages the traveling public, that's ACDBE. The restaurants, the soda machines, the different vendors, those are all ACDBE. Some janitorial services are ACDBE. Rental car services are ACDBE. So that's just simply airport concessions, disadvantaged business enterprise. And the other is disadvantaged business enterprise. Next slide. Similar to our program, they have their criteria of eligibility to be a DBE. Must be 51% owned, as I mentioned. That personal net worth is the same as ours, 1.32 million, excluding your primary residence. But here's the difference. Remember, in mine, that gross receipt was kind of low, and even on my CBE gross receipts, you had an average of 5 million for the majority over 3 years, and construction 9 million. A DBE has access or has the opportunity to exceed 28 million on an average over 3 years. And an ACDBE can do as much as 56 million on an average over 3 years. So the federal program has more wherewithal and more stretch to the size of the actual small business. So again, if you were a woman or a minority business and you were considering doing business with us on the local, we would certainly tell you, based on the good material or service you provide, if you also want to consider the federal program. But as an office, we certify both local and federal. Next slide. And guys, this is why we do local and federal certification. It's about the numbers. And though those paint colors show hefty numbers, guys, we can double all of those if we could. Yes, we need more small businesses. By the time I start talking about the number of projects, the activities, the initiatives, some initiatives got 25 more years to go. The fact that the county does it on a regular basis every single year, I don't have enough small businesses and industries to cover everything the county does. And those some of my examples, even in explaining the eligibility and the criteria, sounded like it's mostly construction. We use that because those are the big ticket items. But understand our program is anything the county buys. So if FAST, our Financial Administration Service Division, needed some assistance with accounting, we purchase services from CPAs. Matter of fact, we're getting ready to do some more with my local small business CPAs. If HR that does leadership and development and training, if an individual agency needed some training, some peer development, or what have you, those consultants the county uses are also small businesses. They got the same rule. If the county buys $2 million of consulting services for all the different agencies who want to do workshops and trainings, if the county buys $2 million of those services, at least 25% of that $2 million must be small businesses. So yes, small business consultants are used. Small business CPAs, engineers and architects are used. Small business public relations, community relation outreach, marketing, advertising are used. Again, the county buys a lot. We don't buy everything, but based on the things we buy, if we have at least two who can provide those goods, materials, and services, or some of those goods, materials, and services, it affords us a chance to set a goal, I'm sorry. So because of that, I need more CBEs, guys. 829 ain't enough. I could use 1,500 CBEs. I could use 1,500 SBEs. I can use 1,200 plus DBEs, and I can certainly use 500 ACDBEs. Here's one of your realities, though. As an office, I don't want to break my neck to hit all those numbers I just said just to be proud of the numbers. I want those numbers because the more numbers in each category, the more opportunity there is to set a goal and a larger goal. I'm going to get excited when I can say that 70% of all the certified firms in my directory are aggressively participating in county bids. I need 70% of everything that's certified and registered with me to be participating on a regular. Then I'm going to get real excited when I can say 60% of those participating are winning contracts. Because that following year, I need 70% winning contracts. Then I need 80% winning contracts. And guys, this isn't hype. We have enough projects and activities to make that happen. Again, we don't buy everything. And again, we don't buy everything in the same volume. There's some things that the county procures based on your goods, materials, and service. I got 10 to 15 agencies who procure that type of activity 3 and 4 times a year each. Okay, so that means that's robust opportunity. I got other things the county buys that we might only buy 2 times every 5 years. The point is no different than government than you in private industry. See, I want to be crystal clear. When you're in private industry, you're trying to find out who it is who needs your service and is willing to pay for it. And everybody don't need your service. Some people say, oh, for what you do, I already got somebody doing it and I don't want to change. Others don't realize that you provide the service and say, had I known, I would have used you. Others are simply saying, you need to convince me why I should use you or why I actually need this service. Government's no different. We don't buy everything every day. So you have to do the research with us, just like you did the research in private industry, to find out who buys what you do, how often do they buy what you do, how much do they pay for what you do, and who my competition is for what I do. Folks, we help to navigate you the same way on the government side. Based on who you are and what you do, you were a business before you ever met me. So based on what it is you do, yes, come over here and take a peek to see if we buy what you do. And if we do buy it, who buys it, what you do? How often do they buy what you do? And what is the county currently paying for what you do? And now with that information, you go decide if you want to be aggressive about the county. See, until you do this, don't come get certified with us. Because see, I don't want to be the one that you happen to be in an industry that you love, that was handed down to you by your father, that was handed down to him by your grandfather. You love this industry and this is what you do. But then you find out that the county don't even buy it. See, me and my ED side of the office would love to keep working with you, build you, help you find a location, see if there's any loans or grants for you. We'll still work with you. But if I don't buy what you do, I'm not going to force you or encourage you to come get certified. I don't want to waste your time. Or if I only buy what you do once every 5 years. See, even then, I would still say get certified because it's still once every 5 years. It just don't mean you don't look at my newsletter every single day looking for the bids. You already know it's once every 5 years. Guys, I'm trying to say on the front end, if you decided to be a business or when you decided to be a business, those are some of the steps you were taught before you ever met me. That's what that buzzword about research and development was about. 2 things that any business got to know, and I know it's bad English. It's a whole bunch of things you should know. 2 things you got to know. You got to know your industry. What is it that you do? You got to know your competitors. Who does what you do? Who does what you do better? What is it that you do better than them? You need to know your industry to pitch yourself, sell yourself, create opportunities for yourself. You got to know your industry. But the second thing you got to know with that bad English, guys and girls, you got to know your audience. Who's willing to pay you for what you do? Who wants what you do? Who's currently paying somebody else because they didn't know that you do what you do? Who's paying somebody else and they didn't know that you better than the person they're currently paying? You got to know your audience. You have to research and determine, where do I find my opportunities? The same is true with us with these government contracts, but we'll help you on the front end determine if the county's buying what you do. And if so, and you're not certified, and you find out that we are, you help me add to that paint. And again, I don't want to add to that paint just for the sake of adding. I want to add to that paint because I need more businesses to be aggressive about the process. And I need more businesses that are aggressive about the process winning county contracts. That's the key. If you're not getting paid, it's for now. Next slide. Vendor registration. And one day I'm going to flip this. Before you ever start talking to me about certification, you first need to be registered as a Broward County vendor. You get to do that for free. We're currently up under Periscope S2G. Periscope, formerly known as BitSync, so I can help you out so you don't get shocked. They are a platform for procurement, nationally and internationally. If you want to know about Broward County bids, this is where you go to be a Broward County vendor. Has nothing to do with my certification. This is where you go so that anytime the county's getting ready to buy something and they're going to put it on the street, you got to be a Broward County vendor. We need you to register for free with Periscope. You get to register to get our bids for free. But 2 minutes and 19 seconds after you register, Periscope go send you some solicitations. They go send you some free teasers about other places and other bids that you should want. And they're willing to share those with you for the low, low price. So you want to know what's happening in Tennessee, Michigan, California, or Oregon? They would love to tell you for a price. I'm not telling you to buy it or not. Maybe you do want to know what's happening in Oregon. But if you just simply want to know what Broward County is buying, if you want to be a vendor with Broward County, if you want to get our announcements whenever bids hit the street, you get to register for free. And you can decide later if what they send you in all those multiple solicitations, if you want to pay for something else. But as long as you're with us, you're always getting Broward County bids for free. I always got to make that clear. Next slide. So here we are. You're not a business yet. You are a business in Broward. By our definition, you're a small business in Broward, and you're thinking about getting certified, or you just recently got certified and you haven't had my certified now what class. This is the beginning of us showing you what I said about 7 minutes ago. We have projects. We have annual activities. We have certain initiatives. Broward County, as a procurement office, with all the different agencies, we buy about $1 billion every year. That's just regular buying: desk, computers, carpentry, minor construction, renovation, security services, janitorial services, some IT services, parks and rec activities, library activities. What goes through county procurement is about $1 billion every year, no matter what. But right now, this minute, in addition to that billion, the airport is working with a $3.2 billion master plan. They're getting ready to build out a Terminal 5. They're still doing renovations in Terminals 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're still doing things with signage as well as regular lawn care. All of that's their master plan. That's in addition to what the county's over here buying regularly. That convention center that we're talking about, that $1.75 billion of activity. We've expanded the convention center. Now we're getting ready to do the hotel portion. That's in addition to the county's regular procurement. That's about 2.5 years away from being completed and spending this last $500 or $610 million. But that's in addition to the regular $1 billion that we just doing all kinds of stuff with. The port, the deepening and the widening of the port, the other activities at the port, including, we now have Mickey. Y'all do know that, right? Disney will be cruising up out of here, no longer Miami. And that's a 15-year contract with a 15-year option. So that's about 30 years that we get ready to fall in love with Disney, and Disney going to fall in love with Broward County. But even the build out we're doing at the port for that new Disney intro, that's different than the $1 billion that we do every year. This is just a portion of our sampling of the type of money we're spending on the different type of projects at the different locations of the county. And even with that slide, that's not it. That's not all. Next slide. This is us trying to give a couple examples of CBEs really winning. CBEs also in contracts, not just a sub, as primes. This is what we're doing in-house with the county, with our MAP program. I'm going to talk about it in a minute, Mobility Advancement Program. We just need to make sure, and we did a very good job at the conference we just had in June. We do a conference once a year. We did a good job of making sure folks understood. Small businesses are really winning. So this is where I'm going to take a little bit more time, right here with these slides. Guys, again, me and my shop can never promise you go win. I can't. I'm not purchasing. Even purchasing can never promise you go win. But I got to tell you, I've been here 10 years now. Small businesses are winning, and we're counting them. We're listing them. We're identifying the projects. We're showing the dollar value. We're telling the company's name. Small businesses are winning, and I have to show that because I don't want to just keep doing these presentations, these workshops, and these trainings, and folks not believing it's happening. We have listed names intentionally. And again, this is somebody dropping from Mars. These are folks whose business was in Broward at least 1 year. The personal net worth of the owner was 1.32 or less, not counting their primary residence. The revenues or the gross receipts of the business was averaging $5 million or less in most industries. And if in construction, $9 million or less, and they were able to demonstrate a useful function. Whatever they were doing in their day-to-day as a business, they realized the county procures it. They got registered in that Periscope, or before that, it was called BitSync, and they started participating in the process. They may or may have not went through the certified now what to get all of the tips of the trade to understand how, if the first time you find out about a bid is in the bid, you're a little late. Because there's too many things that we do on the front end legally, above board. There's too much we do on the front end that can help you before a bid ever comes out. There's too many people we can introduce you to that you really need to know before you create a team and a bid comes out. That's why in the other workshop, we talk about program, process, people. Program is that Business Opportunity Act. Learn it and know it. Process, we work with purchasing and the user agencies to make sure you understand their process prior to a bid to not only get information, but be prepared to bid when the bid hits the street. And people, no, we don't introduce you to everybody you want to meet, but we certainly make sure you meet the people you need to meet based on who you are, and they need to be aware of what you're doing. And we got one of those big workshops coming up in October when I bring all the major county agencies in, and they tell you what they're looking to do for the next year, year and a half in advance. That's going to happen in October, but stay tuned. But I kept it on these two slides because you need to be crystal clear. You can move to the next slide. There are small businesses winning. I'm not winning. I'm not a small business. My staff's not winning. We're putting this information out in front of our small businesses in different industries. Everything's not construction, but businesses are winning. And this will continue because you saw the original slide 3 slides ago about what's happening at the port, what's happening at the airport, what's happening in regular procurement. And now I think I'm getting ready to show next slide what's happening with this cute thing called MAP. Next slide. So, well, that's the convention center again, and that's just more details on the convention center, repeating what I've already said. But to date, what used to be my 62 million going to CBEs have now grown to 79 million going to CBEs based on all activities. And as a reminder, the convention center expansion was a 30% goal. They met that. They're now under the creation of the hotel, and that's be a 25% goal. So that number will continue to grow. But to date, 79 million of everything that's happened at that convention center has found its way into pockets of my small businesses. Next slide. Here's those participating firms, some of their name, some of those dollar values. That's what we mentioned earlier, that we're showing names, we're showing dollar values. That's key so that you recognize it is not us. Small businesses are really winning. And then if you're certified, or if you're thinking about getting certified, I am going to be posing the question. If small businesses are winning, why not you? They're going to get the same information, or you're going to be getting the same information that they got. Next slide. Mobility Advancement Program, I alluded to a couple of times. In short, the county voted 4 years ago. 5 years ago, the program started 4 years ago to do a penny surtax. We collect a penny on all additional sales tax, and that penny generates about $355 million a year every year for 30 years. That's about 16.7 billion. But those funds can only be used for specific services: transportation operations, transportation services, infrastructure repairs throughout the county and the 31 cities, and the future of rail. That's right. Sometime in 2027, a friend or a family member of yours is going to fly into that airport. Then they'll get on the rail car, and then they'll ride the rail car to the port or to that new hotel at the convention center. Eventually down the road, someone will get on that rail car, and they'll take that rail car from Fort Lauderdale Beach out to Sawgrass. That's the penny tax. But what we recognize, there was an opportunity within the penny tax to also establish a goal. Now, the penny tax can be only transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure in the county and the 31 cities, and the future of rail. So everything penny tax does won't have small business goals. So I want to give you a real live example. We go set it wherever we can, but we won't set it on everything. Penny tax is also being used to buy the new fleet of electric buses. To buy electric buses. Okay, I used to tell my small businesses when this was a face-to-face workshop, raise your hand if you are United States Department of Transportation approved to manufacture an electric bus. No small business can raise my hand, not just in Broward, no small business in the country can. So then secondly, I would say, okay, raise your hand, forget the manufacturer. Raise your hand if you are United States Department of Transportation certified to sell electric buses. No small business can. Guys, I just use it as an example that though we're using some of the money to buy those buses, I can establish goals. So when we set out in the beginning, I said, okay, realistically, at least 50% of this money, we will be setting goals. So that's where you got this 30%, 53 million, 30 years. If I'm collecting about 355 million a year, I did my formula off of about 177 million, but at the bottom line, 30% is going to get me 53 to about 56 million a year. And over 30 years, that's 1.6. Guys and girls, this initiative by itself, not all that other stuff we just looked at, this initiative by itself is simply saying over the next 30 years, I have small businesses that collectively and in total will do over 1.6 billion. Now, unfortunately, because I'm kind of old, guys, I won't be here 30 years from now. Oh, it's only 26 years left. I won't be here 26 years from now. But when the math comes home, I need to make sure, and whoever else is here needs to make sure, there has been local small businesses that are now million-dollar businesses, that there are local small businesses who are multi-million-dollar businesses. And those businesses we're going to even be more excited about would have graduated from my program. That's a plus, but they would have started because of initiatives and projects like this. And keep in mind, though I said transportation operation, transportation services, infrastructure, in the future rail, all of that's not construction driven. That's why we want folks to really read the bids, really read the solicitations, really read advanced information, because there's IT in there. There's community relations, public relations, and marketing in there. There's other goods, materials, and supplies in there. So there's different things that different businesses do that can also participate even in this initiative. That's really 16 point something billion in total. And we plan to leverage more federal dollars. You do know that your federal government even passed the infrastructure bill, 1.2 trillion. So we're going to leverage some of our money to get more of their money. We're going to leverage some of our money to do even larger projects. So just keep in mind, across the board, there are additional opportunities. And we're using this, as well as the previous slides, to show you there's room for new small businesses. And there's even room, in case you're on this call, there's even room for existing businesses who are not engaged in the process, start engaging. And there's even room for existing businesses that are engaging the process, but you haven't won yet. We need to be talking, because I need to make sure that you're dotting that I, crossing that T, you're meeting who you need to meet, you're getting information in advance. And at the end of the day, I get to say this and I don't have to be apologetic. You, not me, you decided to go into business. And you got to have the capacity and the wherewithal to do it all. So even as the business owner, if you ain't the best pitch person, then you need to get you someone. If you're the owner of the business and you're not the best person for the writing of the grants, you need to get you someone. Because at the end of the day, these opportunities are real, and you need to be in position, like other small businesses, to come get this money. And I am saying it as layman and as street as possible, because guys and girls, from the charts we just showed at the June conference, I'm sorry, it is real. Small businesses are winning, and I keep saying it. We don't buy everything. But for whatever you decided to go into business, or for whatever you might decide to go into business, if the county's procuring it, if you fit our scale, you need to try to make sure that the county can be one of your opportunities. No, you don't stick all your eggs in our basket. Please don't stick all your eggs in no one basket. But find out, do your research based on what you do. I don't know what all of you do, but based on what you do. If we're procuring that, or if that's the direction we're going, get engaged in this process. Next slide. And that's just the process of things that we've looked at today and how those are rolling out and how many awards there have been, how many CBEs are participating. Next slide. And those are the industries to date for different MAP, Mobility Advancement Program. Yes, guys, when I say surtax, when I say penny for transportation, and they'll kill me because I keep saying the old term, all of this falls up under MAP. MAP Broward means Mobility Advancement Program. It all started with that penny sales tax, go vote. Then we started calling it surtax. But now the official name or the formal name is MAP Broward. So all three means the same to me, but I should be proper and say MAP Broward. But look at all the different disciplines and industries for the projects that have been awarded to date. These are the different industries that we've used and that small businesses have been in need of in terms of these contracts. So that's just to make sure that you know what the different industries are. Next slide. Top 5 industries for awarded projects right now. You'll see, of course, since transportation operation, transportation services, but most of that's not going to have bids because that's transportation relevant to buses and other activities. But when it comes to infrastructure, what the cities are doing, what the counties are doing, and that's the cute part. If I forgot to say, yeah, it's the county's program again, but since it's the surtax, since it's Matt Broward, and since we're going to be repairing infrastructure in the cities now for the first time, if they touch this infrastructure money, they got to use our small businesses as well. So that's another opportunity, not just county projects, municipality projects. If they get $5 million from this fund to do one of their projects, 30% of that $5 million must go to our small businesses. So these are the top industries as we speak right now in terms of projects that have hit the street, but it's not just county projects, it's also city projects. Next slide. And these are some of the awards. These are some of the wins. You see that there was a $187,000 contract with an estimate of $140,000 going to a CBE for the communications and the marketing services. Then we got a consultation service for transit services with other infrastructure breakdowns. And you see the estimate for CBE is $600,000. You see at the bottom, consulting services for transit services, that's a $3 million gig. But 60% is CBE committed. So that means 1.8 million is going to be going to the pockets of our CBEs. So again, with these projects, as subs, as primes, as combination, CBEs are preparing to win, and CBEs actually are winning. Next slide. Some more of those same examples. One that I would probably want to pull out is that Dania Beach. At the end of the day, you see who got the award. You see the the Matt Broward was 2.2. The commitment was 50% CBE utilization. That means over $1 million is going to the CBE. That's the point. There's one thing for me to have a goal, but during the solicitation process, during the negotiation process, what we lock in is not my goal. We lock in what the commitment is. And you see some of those commitments in that CBE commitment sign, it's larger than the 30%. Because some folks have committed more. Some have realized I can do this as a CBE prime, so I'll do 50 myself, and then the other 50 I can use anyone. So whatever the scenario is, for the MAP projects, we're starting with 30 and always trying to get more than 30 for our CBEs. Next slide. Where do I start? Because it's a whole lot. It's actually a whole lot that I said, and we're getting ready to wind this down so I can get you to some Q&A. But you start by, next slide, getting engaged, making sure you know where to find information, setting up opportunities to have your one-on-one, if you choose, with me, or on the ED side of the office with ED, on the film side of the office with film. If there's something that you're doing and you're a part of a community and you want us to come share this information with our CRO team in Monique, or small business, even with Donna Ann Knapp and her team, and Donna Ann's my small business manager, get engaged. Get that Wednesday night newsletter that has that hot tip section. Pay attention to our website and hear me. The reason we try to plaster it in so many locations, in so many ways, including social media, because we know you're busy. We know you can't attend all these workshops. That's why we try to do as many virtuals as possible so that we can put the video up and keep it up. So you always have access to the information. We have gotten back to the day where we do face-to-face, but we try to do those limited, but we try to make them substantive. When you get there at a face-to-face, that's a home run. There will be people in the room you need to meet, and you got to take advantage of it. But where do you start? The multiple ways to get engaged. Folks, you got to get engaged. And bare minimum, no matter what I'm saying about small business certification, you can't get engaged with the county and procurement unless you are a registered vendor. So don't ever forget that. You got to be a registered vendor. Certification means nothing if you don't know where to get the bids. Next slide. So sign up to receive the electronic communications and the bulk. If you got your phone, hit that QR code, And that would then allow you to receive that weekly newsletter. That weekly newsletter is sharing information about the office, sharing information about our community partners who are also out here supporting small businesses or doing things that can support and help small businesses. We tell you about grants and loans and others in this weekly newsletter, but we also give you a hot tip section. And that means I could have read something today about a city or county getting ready to do a bid 2 or 3 months from now. I'm not allowed to act like it's the actual bid, but I am allowed to stick in that newsletter under hot tips. Hypothetically, or as an example, I just read from City X that they have a $5 million project. My office did the review. We did a 30% goal on that $5 million project. That means at least 1.5 of that 5 million will eventually find its way to my local CBEs. Here's the different type of services whenever this comes out for bid, they'll be looking for. The contact information for the person in charge at that city or with that county, we'll leave that to you. And that's a hot tip. Now, because you know I'm just telling you what I reviewed, I can't say an exact bid date because I don't know an exact bid date. I can't give you everything because I'm not allowed to disadvantage others while I advantage you. But I just gave you enough, county or city, that you now know the right websites and or municipalities where you need to now start chasing and trailing this future bid. Start finding out information about similar bids previously that might help you for whenever this hits the street. That's the kind of stuff that you will find in our weekly newsletter. We're going to not try to kill your email with sending you 5 things a day. That's not the point. I'm going to send you what you need to know. I'm going to send some special email blasts out in communications. But every Wednesday, between 6:15 and 6:30, we're going to try to make sure you get that one newsletter that can be substantive to offering you what you need to better your opportunity. Next slide. Stay connected. That X is the former Twitter. Facebook, YouTube, IG, Instagram. That's how you can follow us. And guys, you do want to follow us. You want to follow us because you also want to help us share our information with your other colleagues, your other businesses, your communities, your business organizations. Hear me. We need more folks to know what we up here offering. And again, don't be selfish. It's not disadvantaging you. The more of you creates more bid opportunities with larger goals where more of you can actually compete. Remember, I only need 2 to set a goal, but I got so many projects that if I don't have enough vendors, I set the goal where I can, but then because you're now at capacity, the next set of projects come through and I can't set no more goals because you're at capacity. You can't do no more work. So now this goes without a goal at all. Guys, we have enough work to go around. So please share the information and let folks know how to stay connected with us. Next slide. And it's survey time. It's survey time because we need your feedback. We need to know what you think about us, think about the program, think about the presentation. I don't know if my newest of new questions are up yet, but we always want to take a survey. So staff's going to put a survey up. I want you to take a few seconds to take that survey. We'll leave that screen there so you can tell us what you think about what we're doing and what we're trying to do. But we're also going to get to a point one day that you can do a survey with us in our Wednesday newsletter to start telling us more things you want to see in terms of workshops and trainings and additional information. But again, we'll be doing that down the road in our newsletter. But this is a way for us to try to find out what's happening right now based on information we were sharing with you today. Take a few more seconds and staff will keep us going. Okay, that takes us to the Q&A portion. Again, I know this was a long technical assistance training. Staff is going to be working with me. We'll probably still do a few of these, but we're really going to move to some 5 and 10 minute snippets of information where we can just shoot at you and just leave that up. on our website so people can always go back and get reminders. But every now and then, a session like this, but especially a certified now what, those need to be in depth so we can be crystal clear. They don't need to be 5 times a year, but they need to be in depth whenever we have them. But we do understand. Next time I got a tip about a specific project and there's a process that I need you to follow, see, that really can be a 5 or 7 minute clip. So we are going to get to more of those. But this, as well as certified now what, we still think we're going to hold on to, because this is the front end. This is primarily for businesses who aren't businesses, or businesses who aren't certified, or businesses who knew nothing about our program, our office, to make sure we can start inundating them and getting them familiar with who we are and what we do. And as we did towards the end, if you just happen to be a business or end up becoming a business that's small by our definition, and if you fit our criteria, and if we buy what your good material, service, or product is, then you need to get in this game. So that's what this workshop was about today. Okay, we can remove the customer satisfaction survey. And whether I'm working with Vanetta, Pam, or both, we can dive into some Q&A if we have some Q&A, guys.
Hey, Sandy, you've done a really good job today because we just have a couple questions. Let me see here. So, Face to Souls Aesthetics, they do wellness pedicures. She's also a podiatrist and wants to know how she can incorporate her business with Broward. Feet really are an important component of our health, and I want to help.
Okay, so that's great, but that really is going to go about 90% to what I said. Does the county buy it? Does it buy it regularly? We don't buy it regularly. But wellness is a part of what the county requires our primary insurance providers to make sure that there's wellness components. I'll give you an example. We as an office just did a retreat recently. And at the retreat, we worked with HR, and HR, through wellness, ended up having 2 massage therapists at our retreat. Those were small businesses. So again, though it wasn't a program and set goal, if I'm a small business and if I'm in wellness, and this just not Broward County government, I find out who the insurance providers are. I find out in the larger footprint, which is why it's not us, of those insurance providers. In the solicitation, did it require wellness programming? If it did require wellness programming, then if I'm a provider, as you just described, I not find out who Broward County's insurance provider is, United Health, Humana, Blue Cross Blue Shield, all of them, but right now we're United Health. See, I began as a small business to reach out to them. And I see if they have wellness components. And I see if they have wellness components, do they use small business to fulfill some of those wellness components? And if they do use small businesses to fulfill some of those wellness components, I then want to explain to them I'm a small business and find out within their rotation how they can possibly use me. So actually, we have a gentleman who went through several of these workshops, and he asked a specific thing because he happened to be a massage therapist. So I told him what I just gave you as the example. I just saw again at the Black Chambers Expo. And he wanted me to know he was able to hunt down the representative for wellness and to explain who he is. And they're preparing to look at an opportunity to make sure that he can get into their rotation. So that's one of those examples. We're not buying it. We don't buy it. And if so, I've been here 10 years. I haven't bought it yet. However, it doesn't mean it's not a part of what's happening. So that's where you would just connect the dots. You want to do wellness? You want to see if the county, through a part of their larger insurance, is requiring those big boys to do anything with wellness? If so, you want to know who those big boys are, and you want to try to find out as a small business, how can I get engaged? So that would be my example. So it's certainly not something that you're going to see a small business goal on that I really just described, but it doesn't mean, because we are living proof. There were 2 massage therapists, and we asked them, are you guys small businesses? And they said, yeah. And at the end of the day, they just created their own relationship with Humana, who had a wellness component, who ended up sending massage therapists to us. That would be my answer.
Thank you, Sandy. CA wants to know, can a sole proprietorship become certified with OESBD?
Sole proprietorship, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, how you set your business up is not our concern. Certification application will say that. Based on how you set your business up, based on certain bids, then they might start talking about your workforce. But to answer your question specifically, yes, a lot of my businesses are sole proprietorship. A lot of small businesses are single businesses when they get started. Even our certification application simply says, not 2, 3, or 4, that any business who wants to get certified must have at least one person in the industry of certification who's a FTE, full-time equivalent in Broward. So yes, sole source vendors, based on the good material or service that you provide, you can certainly get certified as a business.
Elizabeth wants to know where she can register for the event in October.
So Elizabeth, Pam, Vanetta, Monique, the manager, they'll probably have something out right after Labor Day about that event. So stay tuned. Check out that Wednesday night newsletter, or stay tuned on the event section of our website, and you will know in advance. But that's not out there yet. I think they just put the whole dates for me on my calendar. I'll probably be sending letters out to county agencies next week. And then that following week, coming out of Labor Day, we'll probably have something out there for folks to start registering to attend that once a year event. That if you a business and you want to know what the county is buying face to face, you want to meet some of the people that's actually going to be buying it, you want to understand where those unique opportunities are, you don't want to miss that October meeting.
And Elizabeth says, we're missing something in regards to accessing projects with goals despite attending different trainings and events. Is there a way to schedule a meeting with someone in your office, either by Zoom or in person? Is this possible, please?
The answer is yes, because if you're missing something, I'm with you. I don't know what you're missing, because you shouldn't miss anything. Remember, the way our process go, program process people, the way our process go, any bid that has a goal, see, it says it in the bid. Any upcoming bid that we are aware of, but we're establishing a goal or recommending a goal, I said in my Wednesday night newsletter. Any bid that's going to be introduced, as an example, for those at that workshop in October, those agencies in that PowerPoint will list the goal. The key thing is to remember, I do say, if you find out at the time of the bid you're late, you should have found out before. But bottom line, if you see the goal listed in the solicitation, then that means we've set a goal. So at least you know there's a real goal, and now you can start digging. Are you going to go after it yourself as a prime and fulfill the goal, or is this a prime that you need to introduce yourself to? But goals is the easiest part, because again, for process, nothing the county buys, no agency goes to purchasing in a solicitation without us looking at it first. And the same is true for Matt Broward in these cities. They have to send me their projects before it ever goes to the street, so we can establish the goal, and then we send it back to them, and then they do the bid in their own time. But when they do it, we also announce it. So again, anything you read should tell you about the goal. But by all means, call the office, set up a virtual or whatever, and let me really hear what the disconnect is. Because again, that's one of the day jobs of us. Everything don't have a goal. So if you read a solicitation and it wasn't no goal, it don't mean I didn't read it. It means I read it and I couldn't put a goal. We get everything first.
Thank you. Christopher George, is there a person at the OESBD office who specializes in construction technology that I can talk to?
Construction technology, I'll say specialize in it, no. But I will be honest and say, you need to tell me what you mean by construction technology, because at the end of the day, remember this. Even if you know something that I don't know, or you know something that the county agencies don't know, I'm taking you full circle with the bids. If you got examples and suggestions of something the county ought to be doing that they're not doing, every county agency isn't required to meet with you. In October, the people you need to meet will actually be there. But they're not required to meet for that same reason with the ethics. They shouldn't meet with one if they're not going to meet with everyone. And in case y'all didn't know, and I didn't say it earlier, remember, there's over 85,000 businesses in Broward. So different than private industry, People schedule meetings to meet with owners because I want to get you that whiskey. I want to send you that bourbon. I want to buy you dinner. And I hope you do business with us. Well, you shouldn't be doing that with us, and you really can't. However, our folks don't meet with everyone, but we find as many ways as possible to put you in front of the right people, program process people. So though I don't have anyone specializing in construction technology, I do want you to reach out, explain exactly what you mean, and we'll tell you within the county's footprint, where's the best opportunity to send information. Notice I said send information because it doesn't mean that someone will actually meet with you, but we'll also show you through process how information you send can be invaluable to the process where someone might need to call you about it. So those are things that we can share with you. So definitely reach out and schedule an appointment.
Sandy, Mary wants to know, does she have to be a Florida-based business or can she be out of state to get certified?
To get certified, as I said earlier, the business has to be here in Broward at least 1 year with at least one person in the industry being certified as a full-time equivalent. To just do business as Broward County, you can be anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world. Broward buys from anywhere and anyone. They do. But to be certified, yes, you have to be a physical business right here in Broward County.
Similar to the podiatrist question, I offer mental health services. Is that a service Broward County might need?
Us, for what we do, nope, never crossed my desk. However, you might want to consider our human service agency, who also works with the Children's Services Council, who also works with the majority of all the nonprofit and community-based organizations that services youth and family, even diversion program for young adults to reduce or remove what could be a criminal charge. Mental health services would primarily be on the nonprofit side of the county. Even if you are a for-profit business providing that service, it'll be working with those agencies. So at the end of the day, go to the county's website, broward.org, and look at agencies and look at human services. You can find out exactly what we do under the umbrella of human services. You can also find out all the different nonprofit and community-based organizations that get money from the county to provide human service activity. And the other big one is the Children's Service Council, and they do everything youth and family.
Thank you. Are home-based businesses eligible to be SBE certified?
Yes, they are. We certify per your business license tax receipt in your city. So if your city allows you to be a certified home-based business, we'll accept that. But if your city doesn't give you a city business license tax receipt to be a home base, then I can't, because I can't trump your city.
Okay, Jennifer mentions that you have to sign up as a vendor. What else do we have to register for? Also, are bids put out through Broward County and Demand Star, or is it the same thing? So I think it's more a question of
Right. Totally
else-
different.
yeah.
And it's a great question. Totally different. You want to know Broward County bids. See, Broward County is Periscope, period. But I got 31 municipalities, and you're absolutely right. Some got their own platform. Some do Demand Star. Some do Bonfire. So I get it. You want to know about us? I'm Periscope. You want to know about them? They got different ones. But at least, so you ain't got to do a whole bunch of looking, on my website, I'll tell you what the other cities are in addition to mine. But there is an organization, because we're trying to get to your point. It's currently called the South Florida Anchor Alliance. We're a member. It's 11, it's actually 23 of us, but the first 11 just did a pilot. There's a platform, and you can see this on my website. So when you go to my broward.org/econdev, you'll see that South Florida Anchor Alliance, SFAA. The key is we're trying to grow the capacity where at the end of the day, you could go in one time, see my bids, Broward County school bids, Miami-Dade government bid, Miami-Dade school bid, Miami Beach, the city, Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami. Broward Health here. See, we're trying to create that one. It's not totally created for everything yet, but if you go to my website and you look at South Florida Anchor Alliance, you will see that that's what they're building as we speak to do that. But right now, this minute, my bids, I'm Periscope. Certain cities are Demand Star. Certain cities are Bonfire. Other cities are internal. You would have to go to theirs. But to get my bids, start with me, Periscope.
And the last question we'll take today is, we are starting a procurement agency connecting the USA and India trade. How can we get certified?
So first of all, you need to decide if it advantages you to get certified. What part of that Pam just read that she articulated does Broward County buy? See, if I don't buy it, it doesn't help you get certified. Now on the ED side, is there avenues of my 31 cities and this county and other public partners like the school district and Broward Health, Broward Sheriffs? Are there other individuals who will be interested in your services? See, we can talk about that. But unless I hear from you more, you certainly can call me or email me. I don't know where the advantage of getting certified would actually help you. Because remember, certification is about if the county buys what you're doing, then come on over here and compete. But it's not about just doing economic development. That's the other side of the office. So Pam, let me thank everyone for the questions we did have. We'll certainly try to make sure if Pam had other ones written down that we can respond. Sorry that everybody can't hear them if there were other ones. Pam, go back to the other slide. These are events and activities coming up that we wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that's happening. But again, definitely keep your eye out on my events calendar. Definitely submit an email if you didn't get the QRL earlier to make sure we can add you to the newsletter. Join these events to do more. They're always helpful. And next slide, please. That was about FITSE. That's coming up in October. That's the thing that if you want to know about international, if you want to be exposed to at least 60 countries, 60, those 2 days, free. That's what this is all about. Next slide. And next year, we'll be home at the convention center, our annual Broward and Beyond Business Conference. Whether you're a sponsor, whether you're a vendor, or whether you're a small business, whether you want to get certified, whether you really want to understand more about what's happening, folks, that happens once a year. That's an event that we're so proud of. We normally get over 800 plus in attendance, and we try to make sure we don't waste your day. We bring big hitters from all over to make sure you know about opportunities, Broward and beyond, not just us. We bring in the feds, we bring in the state, Broward and beyond. We bring in other public institutions, we bring in private, Broward and beyond. And we also make sure that there's some technical assistance and training opportunities for you to know how, whatever it is you do, how to do better, how to communicate better, how to market better, how to brand better. So again, save that date. Next year is going to be at the Broward County Convention Center, that beautiful convention center. So guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank my team, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Hopefully this has been valuable to you. Guys, you can email us. Me and my staff will meet with you. I'll meet with you. I'll point you to the right person. But if you are a business certified, engage this process. If you're not a business certified, do your research to see if this is something that you want to do. If you're not a business at all, consider that and talk to my ED side. And if your business ends up being something along the line of small business, then get certified. If nothing else, share our information with another business that you know could take advantage of our entire office, inclusive of the small business component. So I thank you again, and I thank my team. And till the next time, take care.
Okay. And Sandy, I would be remiss if we didn't thank Sharon for joining us today.
Yes, by all
she's still
means, for
on.
kicking us off. Yes, for kicking us off. Thank you. And again, the SBA
You're
There she
welcome.
is.
Thank you for
be
having
doing
me.
another workshop with us. That's going to be primarily their focus. But again, they had it in the chat, her contact information. Don't wait on my workshop. If you got issues and concerns, if something she says resonates with you, please reach out. do that immediately. They are there to service and support you during any disaster, but specifically the one that was just declared, that we still have time to take advantage. So
Thanks,
thank you
Sandy.
again, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, everyone.